What's going on, everybody? It is U-Turn Crowbat here, and you are watching U-Turn Central. Now, before we get started, please make sure you go into the description and make sure you click on those links for those Pokemon groups. Make sure you give Poketown plenty of love. Now, let's get things going. I am bringing you another Pokemon Wi-Fi battle against Rufus. Rufus is another member of Adventures of a Pokemaniac, and I wanted to kind of test this team out against his team, so let's get right into it and kind of see how this battle goes. Now, this was a pretty different battle for me because of the fact that he is bringing a mono team. Now, thinking of that, I tried to get some idea of what I needed to do. So I ended up going out into my Espeon so I could try and get my screens up. Now, I know that I was going to be needing my screens at this time because of his mono team. It is ground, and so I didn't really want to get demolished by that. So he ends up switching out into his Pompey, I think. Anyway, his camera up. So he ends up switching out, and I get buffed by the Sandstorm, and so I am able to get my Reflect up. And so, with that being said, my defense does rise, which is what I need. Now, he does use the Earthquake on my Espeon, which doesn't do too much. Now, it would probably do more if I didn't get my screens up. Now, I do end up switching out because of the fact that I don't want my Espeon going down right this second. So I end up going on to my Jellicent, only because I know that, you know, some of his moves aren't going to do anything to me. Now he does get hit with the Cursed Body, luckily, because now he can't use, EQ. So I end up switching out, knowing he can't use EQ anymore, and I go into a Sylveon. Maybe I can get a Hyper Beam off or something. And so I'm just kind of thinking, he can't really do too much to me right now. I mean, he'll get some damage off, but it won't be too bad. And I'm pretty happy with that. And so I do get the left ear's recovery after he hits me with the, I forget what move that was, but he did end up hitting me. So I end up using my Wish, because at some point I will be wanting to get that HP back. And so he ends up using Eruption again. Now, it didn't do too much the first time, but it does do a little bit more this time, just a little bit more. So I do get my left ear's recovery, thankfully. And I'm thinking at this point, okay, well, I need to take this camera out. I need to. Now, I tried going for the Hyper Beam, and of course, I missed, of course. So he ends up getting me down to 49 HP, but luckily for me, I did use the Wish. I get that Wish. My wish did come true, and I did get all that recovery back. So, I'm happy. But unfortunately, his EQ is not disabled anymore. But I am able to get my Hyper Beam off, and even though it doesn't take him out or anything, it doesn't really do too much, I was happy with the result. I was happy that it got him a little less than half. And I was proud of that, but unfortunately for me now, I can't really do too much to this camera with my Sylveon. So I need to kind of devise a plan on how to take him out. So at this point, I can't do anything, simply because I did use Hyper Beam and now I have to recharge, so I can't attack. And that's an awful play by me, but I tried taking a risk, so. But he ends up hitting me with the Solar Beam, which doesn't do anything at all, which is awesome. I'm so glad my Sylveon can just take, quite a bit of attacks, actually. So I end up switching out, because at this point I'm thinking I can't do anything to this camera with my Sylveon. So I go into my Porygon too, because I know that some of my moves, may, just hurt it a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit would be good. So he ends up using Solar Beam on my Porygon too, and it doesn't do too much. I mean, it does a little bit more than what I wanted to. I mean, it was a crit after all, but he gets the left ear's recovery, and I'm thinking I need to think of something. So I end up using my Ice Beam because he doesn't resist it. I mean, he's not weak by it, which is awesome. So I just tried taking that risk and just tried maybe possibly freezing it, but obviously that didn't work. So at this point, he's getting me lower and lower in HP. So I end up using my Recover because I don't want my Porygon 2 going down quite yet. And now that I have all this HP back, he ends up hitting me with Eruption, and he just brings me back down. And while his sun does fade, I'm just sitting here, you know. If I keep using Recovery, he's just gonna keep using Eruption. So I didn't want that. I did not want that. I didn't want to really do that to my friend there. So I ended up going out to my Nidoking because if he did use Eruption, then, you know, it wouldn't really do too much to my Nidoking. Now, he does use Sunny Day, and he is able to, you know, just get that sun out. And unluckily for me, he does know some fire moves, and that will just make, you know, the fire moves more dangerous than they already are. But I end up getting my Earthquake off on the camera, and I end up taking him out, thank God, because the Sunny Day just would have overpowered, you know, his Eruption, and that would have been awful for me. I do lose some of my HP because of the Life Orb. Now, he does go out to his Hippowdon. I think it's Hippowdon. I'm not quite sure how to say its name, but he ends up going out. And I switch out because I don't want my Nidoking going down quite this early. So I end up going into my Braviary because I figured, you know, he was gonna go for an EQ. But he doesn't. He goes out and hits and wrecks me with the Stone Edge. Now, the funny thing is, it was not able to take my Braviary out right then. But with me getting buffed by the Sandstorm, it just takes me down lower, a lot lower than I wanted to. So I switch out because I don't want my Braviary going down. Now, I switch out into my Jellicent because I know that my Jellicent can take some of the moves there. And I end up getting my Willow off on the Hippowdon because he is damaged by fire. He doesn't resist it really, and he's not weak to it, but he is damaged, and that's perfect for me. So I end up going into my my Willow and getting it off. And at this rate, I want to take his Hippowdon, you know, down. So I end up going into my Hex to try and take him down right then and there because Hex is more powerful when you have a status condition. So now that I'm kind of getting weaker, I'm thinking, well, if I can just stay in and try and have the Hippowdon go down, that would be amazing. So I end up using my Recover because I don't want to go down before he goes down first. So I get all that HP back. Now he does use the Stone Edge, which doesn't do too much to me at all. And that's awesome for me because he does go down to the burn, and I know what attacks I can take. I know what attacks I can't. So that's why I just wanted to send my Jellicent out, because it can take a certain amount of moves. Now, this guy's is, let me just say it's awful for me. He does go out into his Crocodile, his amazing Crocodile, his Boudica, I think that's how you say its name. But he is not able to take me out with the Thunderfang. So I switch out into my Sylveon, and I'm trying, you know, maybe I was thinking maybe I can get a Hyper Beam off or something, but he ends up hitting me with a Thunderfang, which doesn't do anything at all. Luckily, because, you know, my Sylveon is incredibly bulky, and he ends up using the Double Edge on me, which is awful for me because it does just get me down lower than what I wanted to. And so I end up using the Wish because I'm thinking if I can try and use my Wish Hyper Beam combo there, then it might work out. But I was taking that risk when I shouldn't have. But, you know, I kind of wanted to take that risk. I kind of wanted to see if it would work. But unfortunately it doesn't. And he ends up taking me out. So at this rate, I want to throw in someone who can kind of take some of his attacks. But the problem is that he took out my Sylveon, which means he does get the Moxie boost, which means that his attacks are pretty much through the roof. At this rate, so I end up going into my Porygon because I just wanted to try and maybe get an Ice Beam off or something. But he ends up using the Outrage, and he does take my Porygon 2 out just barely, leaving me at 14 HP. And I do get my Ice Beam off, and I do just barely hit him pretty good. And at that point, you know, I was thinking, okay, well, of course I'm not going to be able to take him out. So he ends up taking my Porygon 2 out, which means that he does get another Moxie boost, which means that his attacks are through the roof. But because he kept using the Outrage, he is confused now, so that might play a favor in my area there. So I end up using, I end up switching out actually into my Espeon because I want to try and deal some damage, or at least take some attacks, or sack my Espeon out. Now, he does get hit with the confusion, and his Crocodile is taken out, luckily. So he ends up going out into his Golurk, his shiny Golurk, his amazing shiny Golurk, and I use my Reflect. Now, he ends up using the Heavy Slam on my Espeon, just leaves me at 44 HP. I end up using Psychic because I know that Golurk is weak to Psychic moves, but this Golurk is a special Golurk because, well, actually no. The Golurk is either damaged or it's weak to Psychic. I'd have to check that out. I have to double check, actually. So I end up going into my Nidoking simply because I'm thinking I can probably just take this thing out with my Shadow Claw. And I do end up hitting it, and I do take him out. Now, that's awesome on my part because I'm able to show off what my Nidoking can do. So, even though I am losing my HP to the Life Orb, I mean, it does make my attacks more powerful, and so that's why I run it. So he ends up going out into his Excadrill, and I end up getting my EQ off and just wrecking the Excadrill. Now, I am so happy that he was able to get an Excadrill on his team, because I have one of my own, and I love using it. And so I love seeing that he wanted to bring it out. So he goes into his Rhyperior, and I've had a couple small issues with Rhyperiors in the past, but I end up using the EQ on him, and at that rate, while my health is going down, he decides to use the Stone Edge, which doesn't do too much on me. I'm surprised he didn't go for an EQ. But I go for another EQ, and I end up taking the Rhyperior down. Now, so far, I'm just kind of thinking, that was an amazing battle. It really was. I mean, I do lose some health to a Life Orb, but that doesn't really matter because this was such an amazing battle for me, and it was an amazing battle, to be a part of with Rufus. Now, with that being said, I am going to be battling him a lot more, without a doubt. So, Rufus, Corbin, make sure you're ready because we will go one-on-one again. And who knows, the outcome that time might be different. We'll never know unless we try, right? So, make sure guys, you go into the description, make sure you click on the links for the Pokemon groups, make sure you RCS, rate, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Alright, take care guys, peace.